Alright, welcome back to the channel. Warhammer Man back in the studio, and today we've got this week's official pricing. So we have the Sunday preview, all of this week's pre-orders, and now we have our prices. So, getting started here. First and foremost, probably my favorite of this week's pre-orders, we have the Sicaran Battle Tank. And if you are not familiar with this kit, there were multiple versions of this kit available from Forgeworld with, essentially just different top weapons. Makes up like the different variants for this tank. But if you were to go to Forgeworld and buy one of these variants, including this one, while it was still available up until recently, it was $144 from Forgeworld. And this is essentially the identical kit, just in plastic instead of in resin. And the new price for the Legion Astartes Sicaran Battle Tank is $80 USD or $95 Canadian. So $80 USD compared to the prior price. If you were to buy it from Forgeworld and get the resin kit, $144. We see once again a roughly 50% savings over the Forgeworld price on this. So about 50% off. So you gotta love that Games Workshop absorbing these Forgeworld kits, the popular ones so far, that it's now going to be producing in plastic. Got to appreciate that it's almost 50% savings on these things. I mean, this is overall great for the hobby, great for collectors, great for anyone that's interested in Forgeworld products, but they were a little too expensive. Or anyone that just was intimidated by resin. Now, knowing this comes in plastic, you're not going to be doing a bunch of like heating up and cooling and reheating and, excessive amounts of cleaning. Very, very nice. You're not going to be like filing stuff down to make sure that it is a flush fit. So very, very nice kit. Very, very nice price on this in comparison to what you would pay from Forgeworld. And then if we compare that to essentially, other tanks in the range, it's not like some crazy price or anything like that. So next we have the Spartan Assault Tank. So this was another kit that was previously only available from Forgeworld. And this was a few $100s. It was over $200 for this kit. And the new price on the Legion Astartes Spartan Assault Tank in the plastic kit from Games Workshop, $112. Which just so happened to be our exact guess. How did we pick that guess? Well, this thing's like bigger than a Land Raider, and the Land Raider is at 95. So I assumed they were going to price this at pre-price hikes 100, which everything that was 100 pre their recent price hikes went to 112. So that's how I just assumed this was going to be 112. So lucky guess. I mean, just basically deductive reasoning. But $112 for the Spartan Assault Tank, or $135 Canadian. So $112 for this. Again, it's expensive. It is with the exception of like the super heavies, like the Baneblade variants. This, I believe, is the most expensive tank that Games Workshop sells. So it is above the Land Raider, but not quite on the same level as the Baneblade and its variants. Very big tank. Now, as far as pricing on this thing, so let's be real. Let's really break this down, okay? If this tank is $112 on its own, which is already a big savings over the Forgeworld price, these things are selling for substantially cheaper because it came in the Age of Darkness box set. Which, if you didn't check out the Age of Darkness box set prior to and after its initial release, we did the breakdown on it, and even though it did come out at basically $300 USD, when we totaled it up, it was like over $600 worth of retail stuff in it. So it was still a 50% savings over just their retail prices, and that doesn't even take into account the savings of something like this over the Forgeworld version. So depending on how you look at it, if you want to look at it favorably, Age of Darkness is just an amazing value. If you want to just ignore that this was previously a Forgeworld only kit and just look at the plastic value, again, it's still like a 50% savings. So now that being said, I did not pick up Age of Darkness, so it was not enough to get me to purchase it. But I also don't play Horus Heresy, and while I like some of the models in the kit, in the box, none of them were like my favorites or anything. But that being said, we know this thing is $112. right off the bat, and Age of Darkness was 300. So you're already, I mean, I don't want to say quite halfway there, but, you're getting there. So we'll keep looking down through here and then kind of revisit that idea of how good of a deal Age of Darkness really is in comparison to purchasing the items retail. So next we have the Contemptor Dreadnought. So there's a ton of different variants available for the Contemptor Dreadnought. This one has a decent selection of weapons that come in the kit. And again, we expected this one to be obviously less than the Leviathan, but still Dreadnought prices, but also less than like the existing range. And we see the Legion of Astartes Contemptor Dreadnought comes in at $60 USD or $70 Canadian. So $60 for this guy. If we looked at him from Forgeworld, they were somewhere around like 120, a little less. I think it was like 115, depending on like how many weapons you chose to go with it, etc. But again, at $60, we see this guy at almost 50% of the Forgeworld prices. So this is an amazing change for me. While we're seeing the traditional kits or regular kits from Games Workshop go up, with rising prices and rising costs across the board, this is a very welcome change in my opinion. Bringing these kits not only from resin to plastic is a huge upgrade because the detail looks so much better. There's no issues with warping, cleaning, all that good stuff, all the benefits of a nice plastic kit over resin. And then on top of that, we're seeing almost 50% decreases over Forgeworld prices. Absolutely phenomenal. And then that doesn't even take into account the issues that Forgeworld had even filling orders, things being out of stock for month after month after month. I mean, just absolutely phenomenal here. Now, is the pricing enough that it's going to combat, recasters on some of these kits? I really don't know, honestly. I mean, some of my views on recasts are obviously a little out of date. I can tell from the comment section. And I do appreciate you guys reaching out and giving me your honest opinions. Because that's what I'm doing. I'm giving you my honest opinion. And when it's all said and done, I could be wrong about things for sure. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay accepting it. I appreciate when people correct me or add additional information, etc. I mean, it's great. That's what the community is all about. Being able to interact with you guys so this isn't just always like a one-way street. And people constantly tell me in the comments how awesome it is that I respond to their comments and have conversations back and forth with them. And, I don't just do it for show. I appreciate the interaction with you guys just as much as you appreciate the content I put out. So if you are enjoying today's content, if you like these videos, reactions, reviews, news, painting, modeling, conversion, tutorials, make sure to like and subscribe. Really helps out the channel. So $60 for this guy. So let's keep on taking a look down here. So here we have the upgrade sprue for a bunch of different weapons. And we can see dual heavy bolter, dual multi-melta, dual autocannon, dual las cannon, and dual heavy bolter. So really nice selection of weapons here. Did I miss the assault cannon and the fist? Okay, no, this is the upgrade frame. So this is an upgrade frame with a bunch of these extra weapons. Hang on one second. 8 different guns and pairs of fists. And you'll be able to pre-order the weapon frames separately, allowing you to double up on the same weapon to assemble a specialized dreadnought. Huh. I'll have to see. These, or are these just half of the weapon? Oh, that's my fault. I definitely got confused here for a bit. Okay, so there's 2 halves of the heavy bolter and then 2 more halves of the heavy bolter. And then this is 2 halves of the multi-melta, 2 halves of the autocannon. Yeah, that's my fault. It's obvious. These are in pieces. So that being said, this one allows you to have a bunch of extra guns. And then there's the other sense. So we'll assume, and I don't have the prices for it right here, but we'll assume that weapon upgrade frame is going to be $24. And that is what it was for the or $27. We'll assume it's going to be $27. And that's what it was for the Leviathan as well, for the upgrade frame. And then this is the second frame that they were talking about that has the heavy plasma cannon, all of this nifty-difty stuff right here. So, what was it? The Volkite, conversion beam cannon, plasma cannon, curse assault cannon, volkite dual culverin, and a spare fist, chain fist blades, and loads of cosmetic bits, like these various like headpieces. So okay, so keeping on here, next we have the Leviathan Siege Dreadnought, and this is the one that includes the ranged weapons. So we already know the price on this is going to be $80, and the Canadian price at $95. Very nice. Thank you to everybody that pointed out in the previous video too. Obviously I make mistakes, you know, I do these videos right on the spot, and I mistook this for the Grav Flux Bombard, but this is actually the Melta Lance. A couple of people have pointed that out. I definitely appreciate you guys and your feedback and pointing out my mistakes. Really helps. So this is actually the Melta Lance, and then obviously we have the Storm Cannon, and then on the sprue here I was correctly identifying bits for the Grav Flux Bombard, but didn't realize all this other stuff here is like the Melta Lance. So the Melta Lance and the Grav Flux Bombard have the same base like gun weapon portion, and then you swap out which bits you want to make it look like the Melta Lance or the Grav Flux Bombard. So thank you to everyone that pointed that out in a respectful way. I appreciate that. Obviously I do make mistakes, and it is what it is. Part of the trade-off between getting one video every single day, or just about every single day, versus one video like a week or a month like a lot of channels do. You know, I don't edit these videos, I film them right on the spot. When I do the actual like 4K HD commission videos or tutorial videos or whatever, those are heavily edited and take exponentially more work and time to complete, etc. As where these, I can just knock them out in the day, keep everybody up with the news, but occasionally I'm going to make some mistakes, occasionally I'm going to misspeak, so I do appreciate when people point that out, and then I can correct it. So that being said, next we have the Cataphractii Terminator Squad. So the Cataphractii Terminator Squad is, okay, so we discussed this in advance, how what I like about what they're doing here with the Terminators is, these were previously available in sets of 5 for $60 for Terminators. And we guessed that essentially what they were going to do is the same thing they did with the Space Marines, where you would get normally 10 Space Marines for $60. Instead, they made it 20 for $80. So we saw about a 33% increase in the price of one set, and then that doubles the quantity. So great deal, obviously, as you basically save like 66% on the second set. So that being said, with the Terminators, 10 in a set would normally, if you bought 2 boxes of 5, it would cost you $120. But we see the price here is $85 USD or 100 Canadian. So again, you would normally buy 5 of these for $60. Instead, you're getting 10 for $85. So you're basically getting the second set more than half off. So great, in my opinion. That's awesome. Clearly, Games Workshop has made it clear in the past or of recent that some of their issues in pricing has to do with how expensive the packaging and everything is. So it makes sense for them, if the packaging really is that much of the expense, why not just put 10 of these guys in the set and charge a little more? Everybody wins. We get a better deal if we want 10 Terminators instead of 5. GW makes more money because they don't have to package 2 full sets of these guys. Win-win. I love it. I honestly think they're making changes in the right direction. We're seeing a lot of the changes that are taking place in the Horus Heresy line are positive. So hopefully the kind of move away from Forgeworld and the positivity and changes we're seeing for the Horus Heresy are going to kind of spill over into all the rest of the games as well, as they see positive changes that have positive effects. Therefore, they're more likely to do that more often. Now, what was it? The Cataphractii Terminators, you got 10 of them in the Horus Heresy Age of Darkness box set. So that's another great deal over buying them straight from Forgeworld. Not only that, but not being able to buy them for, 10 in a set. But just with those couple units that we looked at today, that are in that box set, 112 for the Spartan, 60 for the Contemptor, so that's 172, plus another 85 for the Terminator Squad. That's 257 right there in retail, and the set is $299. So if you just take that 257 and you go ahead and pop in one of the Praetors, you basically get that Horus Heresy entire box set for the price of 1 Contemptor, 1 Spartan, 10 Terminators, and 1 Praetor. So you get an extra Praetor, you get 40 Tactical Marines, and then you get all your like books and all that other good stuff absolutely free. Not to mention a couple other things. So really good deal overall compared to retail. Still an expensive price point at $300, but I do like the changes we're seeing. Now, is part of the reason those units that came in the Horus Heresy Age of Darkness box set priced cheaper because they know there's going to be like a glut of them floating around as tons and tons of people buy up that box set and then either sell their extra stuff or completely part it out, etc. Well, it's a legitimate argument, but here we see the Tartaros Terminator squad. Again, 10 in a set, previously only available from Forgeworld and came in groups of 5. We see the Tartaros Terminators available for $85 for 10 or $100 Canadian. So again, even though these aren't in the box set, they still receive that same discount. So it reasons to say that the discount that they've put on stuff from Forgeworld into the traditional range is just a general discount they're going to be doing, or price comparison, however you want to look at it. But that the fact that these items are in the Horus Heresy box set did not affect their price. If it did, we would see probably the Cataphractii Terminators cheaper than the Tartaros Terminators, and obviously that is not the case. So again, got to give it to Games Workshop on this. I'm very critical of Games Workshop when it's deserved, and I know people, get real defensive of that. Certain people do. The same way that people attack me when suddenly I praise Games Workshop. But you know what? I just keep it real. So in my opinion, Forgeworld all but going away, at least for like the mainstream big nice kits, that's great. I mean, if we can get all the cool Forgeworld kits in plastic at around 50% the price, that's amazing. I mean, at that point in time, Forgeworld can completely go away for all I care. As long as all the big cool kits that are offered from Forgeworld come over. Now, is Forgeworld going to go away? Are they going out of business? Is this the death of Forgeworld? I doubt it. I just think it's a shift in the business plan. I think what GW is realizing is that there's enough people that want Forgeworld items that if they can make them consistently, make them available consistently, the quality go up, and then also sell them cheaper, that it's exponentially better for their business. And I 100% agree. I 100% agree with that. Now, are they still going to make like made-to-order shoulder pad upgrade packs and head frames and stuff? Sure. And I would love it if that's exactly what Forgeworld did, and that was it. They just made little stuff that was like made-to-order, limited runs, whatever. Because the issue with Forgeworld is, 1, the quality control is terrible. 2, the customer service is absolutely horrendous. At least in the United States. I don't know how it is anywhere else. People are always like, Games Workshop has amazing customer service. The customer service at Forgeworld is top-notch. Sure, maybe you had a good experience. I have dealt with Games Workshop and Forgeworld for literally decades and gone back and forth with them plenty of times. Sometimes I've had positive experiences, but overall, their customer service is absolutely horrendous. And if you just want to argue with me and say, no, their customer service is awesome. Well, if you actually look at the report that they recently released, which I released my first video. I still have 2 more follow-up videos on that as well. We'll talk about that. But one of the things that they specifically point out in their 25-page report is how bad their customer service is and how they're going to go out of their way to improve on that into the future. So for all the people that are like, Games Workshop has amazing customer service, well, you probably just have never dealt with them because they're not going to say in their publicly released annual report letter how terrible their customer service is and how they're going to go out of their way to improve on it if it was good. So even Games Workshop knows their customer service was trash and is trash. So that being said, I thought that was kind of funny seeing that in there because I'm like, yeah, it is pretty bad. So overall, I think all these changes are great. They're definitely in the right direction. So again, got to high five Games Workshop on these positive changes. So next we have the Legion Praetors. So we have 2 different Praetors available. The first one is with the Power Sword. The second one is with the Power Axe. They are available for any faction. Both of these came in the Age of Darkness box set. We were expecting these right around $35. Came in slightly cheaper. Not like surprisingly cheap or anything, as we do see quite a few other things at this price point. But $33.50 for our 2 Praetors. $33.50 each, or $38 Canadian. 2 really nice models. Great models. Obviously, if you were wanting to pick these 2 guys up, you're, $67 of the way towards that Horus Heresy box set. So might be worth considering splitting it with a friend, or, you know, parting out some extra stuff, or possibly just picking up the box for yourself. If you're looking at picking up any amount of components from this box set, the box is still a phenomenal deal. So really nice models. Great to see them at a, I would say reasonable, but it's more like just regular price point. And then we had the upgrade sprues from Forgeworld. We have the Age of Darkness Armigers. Should be the same price, honestly. I didn't even look to see if they were on here. There's so much stuff today. I don't see them on here. I'm assuming the price will be the same because it's just a decal sheet is the only difference. So it's going to be in a different box with a different decal sheet and still be the same price. Next we have the Liber Mechanicum, Forces of the Omnissiah Army book. Kind of sad that we haven't seen them talk at all about any new Adeptus Mechanicus units or bringing any Mechanicus units over into plastic. I would love for Games Workshop to at least confirm that they're going to give the plastic non-Forgeworld treatment to some of these Mechanicum units. There are so many units available in 30K that don't exist in the 40K universe or don't exist in Games Workshop's line that are only available in resin from Forgeworld. And that is a huge limiting factor for what is actually like a pretty cool line and pretty nice faction. So we see the Liber Mechanicum, Forces of the Omnissiah, hardback book, obviously, and this one is $50 USD or $60 Canadian. So obviously we know they have the Liber Astartes and Hereticus already, and those are more expensive than this. So I don't expect this one's quite as big, obviously, but $50 for this or 60 Canadian. Again, you know, these are nice quality books. If you're going to play with the army, it's worth picking up. If you are into, you know, the lore and background and all the other stuff in there, makes complete sense to pick something like this up. I think a lot of people forget that there are so many different aspects to this hobby. I literally know people who collect like the books and love the lore and don't even like play the game or barely touch the models. I know other people that have never bought a book and only purchase models and paint them and don't even play the game. And then I know tons of people that literally only play the game that have little to no interest in the lore or anything like that, or like the actual hobby side of painting, converting, any of that stuff. They literally just love the game. So I think it's important to remember that even though you don't like something or wouldn't buy something, that other people might. And that was my argument with the warcry stuff that they recently did, where regardless what the reason is, you know, did they have some kind of manufacturing issues, publication issues, whatever, and they didn't want to delay the new warcry edition and the whole season because they didn't have those fighter cards and everything out in time, the updates. I think that's probably what happened, printing issues. But in reality, who cares? The fact of the matter is we got free content. And my point all along has been, if you give away free content, books, you know, materials to play the game, etc., people will actually still probably buy it. At least a lot of people will. Probably the same people that weren't going to buy it and just use like free online resources. It makes no difference to them whatsoever because now they're just using your free resources instead of online resources. So if anything, they're just grateful that you're giving it to them for free. And then people like me that are somewhere in between, I might use online resources when it's convenient or print out some pages for my warband, etc. But the fact of the matter is, I'm still going to buy the book because I like to have the books for stuff that I use, you know, read, enjoy, etc. I like to have my hands on physical things as opposed to, you know, I spend plenty of time staring at screens. So it's nice to have a physical book you can read, etc. So again, I think all these changes are in the right direction. Definitely positive, and definitely appreciate the positive changes that GW is making. So regardless of the reason they're moving stuff over from Forgeworld, maybe it's because they just want to make more money and they're a greedy corporation. Who cares? It benefits us because we get plastic kits that are readily available that are cheaper. That's awesome. We triple whammy win on that one. And Games Workshop wins as well. That's great. I would absolutely love a healthy business to customer relationship with Games Workshop for the whole entire community and world, where Games Workshop thrives and so does the community, and we're all happy. And while we know we're paying a little bit more than other companies are, we don't feel like we're getting raked away, over the coals. Now, we're not quite to that level yet, but at least we're taking a couple steps in the right direction. And if there's one thing that Games Workshop does phenomenally well, it's make awesome miniatures that we want to buy. So if they're taking some steps in the right direction, that's what I want to see. Alright, so keep on moving down here. We have the Warhammer Underworlds, Hexbane's Hunters. So the new models here, I was a little critical of them. They're starting to slowly grow on me a little bit. I do like anytime they have like dogs or other animals available. That's obviously cool. And then overall, these models look good. It is a nice set. You get 6 minis in the set. You get your cards, all that good stuff. And it's right in line with the other warbands from this edition. Hexbane's Hunters for Underworlds is $42 USD or $53 Canadian for these ones. So that's the Hexbane's Hunters. Then we have the Blood Bowl Elven Union. So the Blood Bowl Elven Union dice coming in at $18. Oh man, I can't remember what the cards and the board were and everything. They're not on my list. I think it was right around like 50. $18 for the dice USD or 24 Canadian. You guys out there that are into Blood Bowl know these prices already because they're going to be right in line with everything else we have seen for Blood Bowl. Obviously a bunch of Lord of the Rings stuff coming out here. They had a Lord of the Rings day this past week. And I had no idea about it, and I consider myself to be like pretty in tune with the community and paying attention to like news and everything. So I don't know if other people knew about that in advance, but it was like a whole big event. They showed off a ton of new like Lord of the Rings stuff. Highly recommend you check it out if you're interested in that. But you know, I didn't hear anybody talking about it, didn't see anything about it online or anything until literally after it happened, and then they had it up. So I don't know if that was just me missing something because I'm not that in tune with Lord of the Rings, or if other people completely missed it too. Maybe some of you guys were like already in preparation, like waiting for that. But I thought it was just kind of random that that whole event went on and I didn't even like hear one word about it. That was surprising to say the least. But it looks like a bunch of new Lord of the Rings stuff, so get excited. And then we have our White Dwarf here, issue 479. The rework, $11 or $14 Canadian, right in line with what we would expect. And did we make it through everything? Yeah, that was it. So I didn't get a price for Warboss. I never get these prices in advance for whatever reason because it's Black Library. I'm assuming with most of these, when it's just a book, special edition, it's like $65. I'm assuming this is going to be like around 100, maybe like a little bit more. Probably similar to like the Ahriman Thousand Suns special edition set. Anytime you get a bunch of extra stuff with it, expect the price to go up a decent amount. Just because they're like super rare items that they produce like one time. Obviously with these sets, they're only producing 2,000 of these, so they don't get like the economies of scale in the same way as if they're making like 100,000 of something. So when they're making 2,000 of something, it costs them more per item to make, and obviously the rarity is a benefit for like collectors or whatever, scalpers, resellers, etc. Which is why people like go after these. But the fact of the matter is, you know, it's full of a bunch of cool stuff that you'll be able to get one time and one time only. It's probably going to be around $100. So if you are a, you know, and the plot behind this Warboss sounds pretty clever. Now, granted, if you're into like reading and enjoying stuff you buy, maybe you're not into this set because you want to devalue it. But a lot of times, you know, people that really like this stuff also like reading it and enjoying it. But, you know, it is what it is. You can buy it and put it on a shelf and hide it away forever, and it'll appreciate in value. Or you can buy it, read it, enjoy it, have fun with it, slap that sweet sticker on your whip, and, you know, never look back. But it is what it is. So we see this week's pre-orders quite a bit coming down the line here. We take a look now that we have some official prices on some more of the Forgeworld stuff that was in the Horus Heresy box, in that Age of Darkness box. We truly see how good of a deal it was. Because in essence, we had to guess on a bunch of the pricing for stuff initially. And now that we know the prices, and they are right in line with what we expected, we know for a fact it's basically like over $600 worth of retail items in that box if you bought them individually. Now, some of the smaller, like we see a discount obviously on the Cataphractii Terminators. If we were counting them as $60 a set, I was pricing the Cataphractii Terminators value at $120 because it was $60 per 5. Now we see, obviously, it's really only $85. So that takes away like $35 of the value that I was putting on the set. But then we also see a couple things coming out like slightly more expensive, etc. So when it's all said and done, it kind of balances out. But it is right around that 50% off, $600. As far as Forgeworld is going, you know, there's still tons and tons of kits that will be a long time. Even if Games Workshop came out and said tomorrow, hey, we're going to start moving every single kit we sell from Forgeworld over to plastic, over the next however long it takes. So get ready, get excited for plastic Thunderhawks and plastic Titans and, you know, all that stuff. Even if they came out and did that, I mean, I honestly think that's like a multi-year process. So is Forgeworld going out of business? Probably not. Are they getting sort of like revamped and reabsorbed at least most of their stuff back into Games Workshop? I think that's definitely a safe bet. If we look at all the units that we have seen come from Forgeworld into the Games Workshop line, they're a lot of the most popular and common units. If I'm not mistaken, they're all Space Marines so far, which is obviously GW's biggest seller. And then if you can sell them in 40K and in Horus Heresy, two of GW's biggest games, obviously that makes a ton of sense. And then, you know, what's next? I mean, they're just going to keep going down the line and picking the most popular or best-selling kits and then moving them over. So stuff like a Leviathan specific to certain factions, probably not going to ever see that in plastic. But that will alleviate all the people that are buying regular Leviathans, so Forgeworld can focus on making like your Blood Angels one or your Night Lords one or whatever. And that's how it should be. If all the major kits are in plastic and then all the cool like fancy faction specific kits or upgrade stuff is in Forgeworld, that's better for everyone. And I think that's probably, no, I think it's safe to say that's the direction Games Workshop is going. So is Forgeworld going out of business? No. Is Forgeworld obsolete? No. Is Forgeworld good at their job? No. But in the end, the changes GW is making are definitely in the right direction. So very excited to see more and more units coming over to Forgeworld. Also very excited to see GW offering all of these cool upgrade frames. Now, while you're still kind of paying for something that maybe should be included anyway, rather than paying, you know, $80 for a Contemptor Dreadnought and getting all the weapons options, you can pay $60 for the Contemptor Dreadnought and then you can buy the extra weapon options. So I do like the choices that, you know, that is an option. And then also, if you have a couple Contemptor Dreadnoughts, so much stuff comes on the sprue, you can probably use one of these weapon sprues or one of these upgrade sprues to probably have a bunch of extra options for multiple Contemptor Dreadnoughts. So if you're fielding like 2 or 3 of these bad boys, you know, you're probably not going to need 3 of this sprue unless you specifically need some guns, in which case maybe you can swap some of the extra guns you're going to have anyway. So very nice improvements, very positive changes. I'm definitely excited for this. Definitely excited for these. By far, this one is the most exciting. I do really like the Leviathan Dreadnought, but there's just something about the Sicaran, just the overall look of it. It's great in game terms. It's not going to, like, you know, it's not broken. It's not going to change the game. You're not going to be just like crushing your opponents. But it's fast. It has some cool firepower, and it looks awesome. So definitely a fan of this bad boy. But I think that's it for today. We made it to the end. If you did check out the recent video we did, the initial one on GW fundamental analysis and earnings, I appreciate you checking that out. So far, I had some pretty good positive feedback overall. A couple of people have went full White Knight and you know, tried to do battle with me or attack me. I expect that, and honestly don't really care. I fully expect people to be like, I'm unsubscribing because you don't understand how business works. Whatever, I don't really care. You know, it is what it is. If you don't get any value out of the video or any of my videos, obviously you're not watching them now, so we don't care. But the rest of us enjoy it. We enjoy the community. We have fun together. I appreciate each and every one of you. And if you are one of those people that enjoys the videos but hasn't subscribed, which is a substantial amount of the people watching now and watching all my videos, please go ahead, hit the like button, subscribe, share with your friends, whatever. Leave a comment down below. Always like to hear your guys' opinions. Absolutely love interacting with the community. But that's it for today. So if you're into Warhammer 40,000, Kill Team, Necromunda, Age of Sigmar, or Warcry, Horus Heresy, any of Games Workshop's tabletop war games, please leave a like, subscribe, and share. Also, if you haven't checked out the playlist available, we have tons and tons of tutorials on painting, modeling, conversions, magnetizations, pretty much anything to do with you know, the hobby side. And then obviously we are a commission-based studio, and we show off all of our commissions as they leave the studio. So if you want to check those out as well, tons and tons of cool videos of awesome commissions going out over the years. And obviously you can check those out. There's all kinds of like tutorials for how we achieve those, what colors we use, techniques, all that good stuff. So, and if you ever have questions or you don't find something in the description, just leave a comment, and I will be sure to do my best to respond to that, which is pretty high percentage rate. So. But that's it for today. Gonna leave it there. I appreciate each and every one of you. Everybody have a great day. That is it for Warhammer Man Studios. I'm Warhammer Man, and I'm out of here.